Recording in progress.
Thank you. Okay, we'll get started with our council meeting tonight. This is in West Haven City, Utah. Today is Wednesday, April 3rd of 2024, and it is 6:06 p.m. And we got started a little bit late due to our last meeting, but we're glad to have everyone here. We want to thank our council members for being here. Do we have our other council member Dixon online? Okay, she's online tonight and joining us from remote. And but we appreciate having Weber County Sheriff's Office here and everything that's going on there as well. We have some changes with some people coming up, but we wanted to also just thank our past with overall with our Lieutenant Jeffries that have served very well here, and we've got you've done a great job. Thank you for your service here. We also want to thank Lieutenant Lavely for getting involved and being here for us moving forward. So thank you guys for being here. And we want to thank those that are attending today. So we'll get started with our opening ceremonies on here. We'll start with our Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Saunders and our prayer or moment of silence of the Councilmember call.
If everyone would stand and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance with me.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we are grateful to be gathered this evening as a community. We're grateful for the place that we live and the beauty that surrounds us. We ask for thy care as we make decisions this evening for our residents, that we may be considerate and recognize needs of all who live here. We're grateful for this chance to serve, and we offer this prayer in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. All right, thank you, Councilmember Saunders and Councilmember Call for that. We'll move on to item 3, public presentation. Residents attending this meeting will be allotted 2 minutes to express a concern or ask a question about any issue that is not on the agenda. No action can or will be taken on any items presented. Is there anyone that would like to come forward at this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item 4. This is our upcoming events. We have our dumpster days coming up on April 18th through April 20th. And we're looking forward to our residents having access to over at the park over there at our country park or Kenneth Baldwin Park. So times will be coming out for that, and we'll have that available. City Council meeting will be canceled on April 17th of 2024. We will be attending the Utah League of Cities and Towns, the mid-year conference that's down in St. George at that time, and that's the conference will be on the 17th through the 19th, so that'll affect our time there. Also, we will have our Arbor Day, which will be on May 4th of 2024. We also have our Touch a Truck on May 6th, and that will be from 6 until 8 o'clock. We have our Arts Festival 2 coming up, so for the citizens to be aware of that and be prepared for that on September 21st of this year. Is there any other things that are missed on there at all, Council?
Mayor, I've had a few questions about West Haven Days since there's 5 Saturdays in June this year. So maybe we want to start adding that to our list of events. So as I understand it, it's the 23rd. Is that right?
Well, it goes along the week. The starting
Right.
week starts at around the 17th through the 23rd.
Okay, so it's not the last week. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item 5 for the council updates. Is there any updates from the council on any assignments or anything?
I guess I would just like to publicly thank those that participated and helped with the Easter egg hunt, since Councilmember Dixon wasn't able to be there. So I wrote these down. Tammy Moore and Vicki Kent were the ones that bought all of those amazing prizes, as you had mentioned. They put in a lot of effort and a lot of time, and they gave away some really cool things. I think only 2 were not claimed. Braden Young, our staff was there. John and Julie Price, Colleen Hunter, and the youth council. The youth council were there bright and early with several of us to throw candy in the rain, and it was fun. They're great kids, and it was a great event. So I just wanted to recognize them and tell them thanks for their service and their efforts.
Did you mention the Easter bunnies too?
There were 2 Easter bunnies. Their mom,
And they were awesome Easter bunnies.
their mom's on the committee as well, so she was there.
Yeah,
Julie
a lot
Rose.
thank you for that. Appreciate it. Anything else from the council? Any updates?
Not really an update, but would like to apologize to the public and the council for my casual appearance today. Wouldn't normally come to a council meeting like this, but I've been moving for 2 days, so I apologize.
Well, thank you.
I'll let it slide if I can do that once too.
We'll let you do it once. You get once a year, that's it.
Well, I'm not even going to comment on my attire, so you're good, Nina.
Okay, we'll move on to our next item on here, item 6, action on our consent agenda. We have item A on here, our city council minutes meeting held on March 20th of 2024. Item B is for Weber County Sheriff's Office for $456,290. We have our Weber School District for $335,894. Item D is for Weber School District for $423,314. Item E is for Weber School District for $3,189,111 as well, which is a big number. Also, item F for Weber County for $87,813. Is there any questions or concerns from the council on the consent agenda? If not, I'm ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items A through F.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the consent agenda? We'll do a roll call on that. Councilmember Call?
Aye.
Councilmember Morse?
Aye.
Councilmember Dixon?
Aye.
Councilmember Schwab?
Aye.
And Councilmember Saunders?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries on that. Lots of funds going through there, through the city, but need to be caught up on, get things taken care of. Item 7, update on Utopia. We have Mr. Roger Timmerman here, and are you presenting to us today?
Yeah, we got Kimberly McKinley here as well. We're thankful that you allowed us to come and give you an update on things. We've had a lot of people asking about this, like, hey, we signed up for this a while back, where is it? We've seen a lot of construction in the city. And so we wanted to come and tell you where we're at. Some good and some bad. Nothing bad to be concerned about, but just that we've been a little bit behind schedule. We ran into a lot more canal crossings and electrical installations that have taken more work. So with Rocky Mountain Power, rather than in other areas, it's been a little less of an incremental to get high power service installed. And so we had to wait for more work, like more transformers or more site prep where there wasn't sufficient power to come in. The good news is one of the major sites that we have just got power recently. We are actually tonight going to make available the first neighborhood for installations to be signing up and actually get their installation scheduled. It's only a few hundred homes that'll be able to do it. The rest of the city is actually going to come on really quickly after, though. We expect the entire city to be done and ready to be able to sign up and be installed. And when I say sign up and be installed, there's a couple week delay. You sign up, we have to do blue staking to allow utilities to be marked in that, but within a couple weeks they can be installed from when we make them available. But that we expect that to be in June. So between now and June, we'll be releasing neighborhood by neighborhood and the whole city should be able to get the service by late June. So going from nothing to the whole city pretty quickly. And the reason is because it is pretty much built at this point. We have just been held up because of either a specific canal crossing that we've been delayed on or power. We had both of those kind of working against us in different areas. But we're now past many of those with some remaining. And some of that could be subject to change depending on, we still have a couple canal crossings that are in process, but we have what we believe we need to get them done. So that's your schedule. So the bad news is that we were hoping to be about 6 months ahead of this, but the good news is we are, making good progress and excited that you're going to have this service very soon. We do already have 16 businesses installed in the city, what we consider businesses. Some of them are apartment complexes, but we sell them as a big bulk business order. So there are actually a lot of apartments that are units, probably. We count them as a single connection because they're sold in bulk, but they may have a couple hundred units behind them. So there's already probably a couple thousand residents benefiting from the service through apartment and bulk connections. But the single-family homes will have that available to them here in the next, either immediately or soon, or worst case, sometime in June. I had a list of questions and answers that I want to go through. It's not typical that I would take this format, but there was a Facebook post where somebody put it on the West Haven area. I think you share a Facebook group with like West Haven, Taylor, and Hupper.
That's the big one.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think most of us are familiar with that post, actually.
Yeah, well, anyways, normally I'm like, don't respond directly to the Facebook things, but I was like, and I didn't answer the questions there, but I was like, this is actually a pretty well thought out list of questions. So I thought I'd just go through them real quick. And most of the answers and information is available on our website, but there were some specifics here. So when will residents be able to get fiber service installed? It depends which area you're in, but beginning within this evening, if you happen to be in the lucky area, which is part of West Haven 4. We have a map that has it broken out into areas. So if you're in West Haven 4, you've got a better chance. But the other areas will be soon. Is Utopia ahead or behind schedule? We're behind by about 6 months, but that doesn't really matter after June. What specific tasks remain to be done before customers are able to subscribe to fiber internet services? Just some of the testing, splicing. We still have a little bit of connections and a couple canal crossings being wrapped up. How will Utopia inform residents that they're able to sign up for service? Kim's here. I might as well make her do the marketing questions. Yeah. Tell them what they're going to see. I know the answer, but
Okay.
she's here.
Well,
She's better.
You want to ask me the question?
Yeah. So where to go? How will Utopia inform residents that they're able to sign up for service?
A couple ways that we send. First of all, we send flyers. We do all digital posts. You probably should be starting to see digital ads running in this area because we've been doing awareness for a while just to kind of get people aware that we're coming. Also, we send it to the ISPs who do a lot of marketing when we release areas. And we do a lot of things on our socials. So if people watch, they will see it. But we hit them from every avenue to try to make people aware that they can get service. And if you guys, I know that Sean, we've worked in the past, if you guys want to work with something from the city or a city Facebook page post from your guys' perspective, we're willing to work with anything that you guys make it happen so we can get the awareness out. One thing I always like to say when I speak in front of cities is that when we go into cities and say, where did you hear about the service? Year after year, I've worked at Utopia for 14 years, they always say from their city. So having the city part of this as we roll it out is going to be huge. So also we're willing to come to any events. We just talked about West Haven Days. So if you need a presence from us, just let us know. We would love to be here. Because we just like talking to residents and telling them what we're doing and why we're doing it and just giving them information from our standpoint. Go ahead, Mr. Roger. Mr. Vanna Roger.
Yeah. So people can hear here. So will residents be working with Utopia directly to sign up or a third-party company?
You will be working directly with Utopia or ISPs. If somebody is, you can go to our website and sign up for Utopia and the ISP at one, or you can go to our ISP and they have functionality to have both of those measures going. So go
I
for
think
it.
the rest of these are probably for me. So there are a lot of questions about the installations. Will customers have the option to pay for an installation up front and avoid lease payments? So we have two options. One of them is you just pay monthly. You sign up for a month. If you don't like it, you cancel. There's no termination or anything like that. The vast majority of people do that across the board. And that would be $30 for the fiber connection, and then service starting at $30 on top of that for 250 meg, and then goes up. You have 250 meg gig and 10 gig as of today. We did actually just inform our service providers we're introducing a 2.5 gig tier and lowering the cost of 10 gig, but we're subject to them coming back and telling us what their retail pricing is before we actually know what that pricing is. So you'll see a new 2.5 gig tier become available, and we'll see the 10 gig likely drop dramatically in price. So it's some good news. As far as paying for the connection, that is going to be available in the city. Again, we don't expect a lot of people to do it. It is kind of pricey. It's $3,500 as a one time, but then you never pay the $30. Again, we don't recommend it. We don't even have it on our website, but if someone really, really, really wants that for some reason, they can call and get it.
You have to call it to get it.
Yeah. Yeah, you would have to call in to do that. If you start with lease payments and then can you buy it out later? You can buy it out, but it's not discounted. So really the cities and us collectively with all of our projects, we are kind of taking on the risk of the connection. Generally, we do $30 a month, so we don't credit that. Like either you take it on yourself or we take it on, but it's not like you don't get the benefit of both. So $30 a month or you buy it out. Does it vary for different residences depending on location or complexity? It does not. It's a flat rate where you don't pay anything. It's a free installation. So, or $3,500 if you decide to go that route. But obviously that's different. Our costs are different, but that's we have our price structure so that we have an averaging of that for everybody. Do residents have the option to choose where they want the fiber to come into the house? Sort of. I mean, we have a technician comes and we can schedule that for them to, normally we schedule a crew to come in and install the drop, and they'll do it where they see makes sense, and usually they'll look for like a cold air return or air conditioner system or something like that where they could use that as an entrance to the house and not have to drill new holes. But if the resident is really concerned about where it comes in, and someone has to come in later to do the inside stuff. So the outside stuff, they don't have to be there, but if they want to be there, they can coordinate with us. Is that right, Kim? Like they can schedule a site survey with us still?
Yeah. Usually, we just have to request it. We kind of our
She deals with the customer service who talks it through.
So what we kind of our customer service that they call in when they're doing the install, they'll kind of do some feeler questions to see if we really need it one or not, or if somebody requests it. So if we see somebody who has a lot of concrete around their house, we're going to say, can we come out and do a site survey because we need to figure out how to get under the concrete. So they can ask for it, or we kind of do some feeler questions to see if we need it though.
Dealer questions?
Feeler kind of
feeler. Okay,
question.
I was like,
feeler, sorry. Articulate.
So yeah, I mean, if you got strong opinions on how that comes in, yeah, there's that opportunity. And obviously if the crews are out there to do the install, you'll know about when that's going to be. And so, you can keep an eye out or let us know that you want us to be there or you want to be there when they do that install. So it's a multi-step installation. When you sign up, I mentioned that they'll mark utilities or call it in to be marked, and the utility providers, including the city for your own stuff, marks everything. And then we have what's called a drop installation, where that goes from the corner of your property where the box was installed during the construction. The conduit will be installed from there to the side of the house. They usually are really good about the least impactful way to do that, and it's mostly underground and goes deeper than sprinkler lines. So it only gets a hole by the box and a hole by the side of the house, and then it's a little missile that goes underground. that kind of burrows its way underground. So it's not the cheapest way to do it, but it's the nicest way. So it's a pretty clean install. But if there's like really a lot of complexity, then can be some benefit of working with the crews to say, hey, maybe you want to come this way or avoid this, or if there's something underground that they might hit. But obviously the lines should be marked. If we break any sprinklers, we're real good about coming out and repairing those as well. So they'll fix them if they know they fixed them or know that they hit them immediately. But sometimes we don't know because a lot of it's underground as it happens and we don't see it. So if anything does get broken, everyone will have a door hanger that should have happened already with the main construction. But on our website, you can always contact us and we can tell our crews to go out and repair sprinklers, and we do a lot of it, and we're quick. Obviously, we still try to avoid them as much as we can. Let's see here. From the time a resident orders installation, how long is it until installation starts on average? So we need about 2 weeks. It kind of depends on scheduling though. If you're like, it has to be Thursday afternoon, then it may get out 3 or 4 weeks. But if you're flexible with timing and we're doing it as soon as we can, then it could be as short as about 2 weeks. So that's about the time. For the fiber modem router installed in the house, what equipment is currently being deployed by Utopia? So we put a little device that's the fiber demarcation switch. So basically fiber comes in and it goes into this device. We install it on the wall inside the house somewhere. And then that'll plug into a consumer router. So the resident or business would need to provide their own router. We have recommendations. That's just something you can get from Amazon or Best Buy or whatever. There are options to rent those from some of the providers, but that's kind of your choice of what you want to do. Let's see here. There's some repeats here. So, in case of a fiber cut, how will Utopia inform residents of the outage? So if it's just affecting one house, we don't know exactly, it's not easy for us to know that was a fiber cut. We'll see it goes down, but they go down for power or because people unplug things all the time. So we don't immediately respond to a single fiber outage, but if you notify us, then we'll send a technician to come out and fix it. If we see there's a group of people affected, like, hey, 10 of these things just went down at the same time, we know it's us. We know there's a fiber cut in bulk, and we'll immediately dispatch someone out to fix it. People will know, we don't have a text notification system or anything like that, but we do have Twitter updates. I guess not Twitter anymore. X. Do we have any other notifications? Yeah, we tell the ISPs, so if they have their own notifications to the end users, because we try to do a lot, but we're also trying not to step on the toes of the ISPs, because really you're getting service from them. But we also are the ones responsible for the fiber side, and they're responsible for the internet side. So there's a lot of communication between us and them. But most people are going to interface first with their internet provider, not with Utopia when it comes to ongoing issues. So they have that information and have their own tools for texting or updates or that sort of stuff. But if someone wants both, we do have, we have the x.com thing. Who retains ownership of the fiber modem? We do. So if it goes bad, we just replace them. There's no cost to the resident for those. Let's see. When will customers be informed of the available choices for their ISP? So all of the service providers on Utopia are available here. So what happens, you just go to our website to sign up, put in your address, and it pops up with a shopping cart basically and shows you all the different service providers on there. But if you were curious now, just go to our website, residential providers. There's 15 options there. We just had a couple more sign up, so that's changing to 17 or 18. Lots of choices. Are there more choices for speeds other than 250, 500 meg gig? Well, 500 meg isn't an option. But yeah, there is 2.5 gig is available in addition to the ones they ask about. How will billing work? So we bill our piece, the $30 through Express Bill Pay. Do you guys use that for your utility billing?
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice because it's just one more line item on a bill they're already paying for their fiber connection, but then they'll have a separate bill from their ISP, and they all bill with their own stuff. So it is two bills in a way, but nice that the city or the public portion of it, if you guys use Express Bill Pay, won't really feel like an additional bill. It's just an additional line item bill they're already doing. And I think, yeah, the others are kind of repeats. So, all right, that was a pretty long list of questions, but I thought they were good questions. You have any other questions for us?
Yes.
Okay.
Social media. So we see on Facebook you guys are posting milestones in other cities. You got Pleasant Grove, Orem, Syracuse. You guys have posted when different neighborhoods have come online or when they're scheduled. Is there a way we can get that through West Haven? Because I guarantee within 30 seconds of you guys posting it, it's already on the other sites. We don't have to do anything as a city, but I just see that we haven't seen that yet.
No, we have, because we haven't released anything. But
Okay.
once we do start releasing, you'll start to see those posts come through. So we do it for every single post that.
You got Zoom people, right? So
Oh, sorry.
Correct.
Sorry. I'm terrible at this. Yes, well, so when we start releasing, even with the addresses, he said that we're going to be released very soon. You're going to see that pop up on social media. It might be a day or so, but we can absolutely even just send a note to the city that these being released, and we'll have them on our social. And if you want to post them on your social as well, so we can do a double prong attack to make sure people are aware. But yes, those are coming.
Is there ability to kind of put a post up just of where you guys are right now, just kind of
Yeah.
overcasting, not everything you said tonight, but just, hey, there's a 6-month delay, but we're excited that we have 80% done or wherever you're at. I think that would be awesome. I think that's,
Yeah.
most of the residents are just curious. They haven't seen anything.
Do you want it to come from Utopia, or do you want us
I
to
would
give
like it
an
to come from
update?
Utopia
or-
because that's where everybody's grabbing it and
Okay.
putting it on the other pages.
Okay, we can absolutely probably get that done by tomorrow. I don't know if you want to see it before we post it, or just, okay.
It's your post.
So-
It's your post.
Well, I
and
know,
then
but
someone else is throwing it on their page. So
We just want to work together. So some people
course.
are more particular than others about that stuff. So yeah, no, we absolutely get that
Do you,
done
do you
tomorrow.
need a point of contact for anything that you need to add to any of the websites?
I usually go through Sean or if you want somebody else, I can go
Yeah,
through
no,
it.
that'd be
that's
fine, as
perfect.
long as it gets probably to Janessa, right? And
Okay.
If you could give me an email alert or something like that, and
Yeah.
I'll just forward it to our social media employee, and they'll make sure that they
Absolutely.
repost.
It might come from one of my employees as well, but yeah, we'll make sure that it gets out there for any releases so you guys are up to date of what's happening. Absolutely.
that'd be great. What about new construction that's going in now in West Haven? Have they ran lines in there, in those areas?
We should be. Sometimes they get missed, and so what we want to make sure we're on all your notifications for new developments, and then we get in, as they do other utilities, we try to get our fiber and conduit in. We're contractually obligated to do it, but obviously it costs us a lot more if we miss the notifications and have to come in and bore it later. We'd rather get it in while the trenches are open. That's a good item to bring up. We'll coordinate with Sean just to make sure we have all the right people on that notification. I'm assuming it's going well. I mean, obviously we're working with the city a lot with permits and getting everything in place, so it's probably working really well, but we got a team of people that do that.
Okay. I know there's some that are questioning whether they're going to get it because their buildings are just starting, or the construction sites are starting, or the developments are just, in process, but they haven't had it run yet.
Yeah, our intent with all of this is to get it to every single household and business in the city. The only ones that might think like, hey, I want it and I can't get it, is if there's an obstacle, and that could be an HOA that won't let us in if there's no public utility easement. Sometimes you might be a tenant of an apartment where the apartment owner buys a connection for everybody and they're kind of obligated into that. So we can't force our way into every situation, but everywhere we can get to a house, we would get to it. And that's perpetually. We want you to grow. We're here, and
We definitely want to grow it too.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions?
So how has Utopia dealt with neighborhoods that are built in the last 5 years there where the developers already put fiber in and it's owned by another company? How are you guys serving those homes?
If it's in one of our city partner cities, like this situation, we go build ours in anyways and basically say, hey, we have a franchise agreement with the city. You can't stop us.
So you've
Yeah, if it's private and there, or an HOA type of situation where they have the right to keep us out, sometimes we've been prevented from coming in.
So
But,
you'll just run your fiber alongside the other fiber?
Uh-huh.
You don't, okay. That answers.
yeah, just because there's fiber there doesn't mean we're going to stay away from it. We
Okay.
still beat everybody else. Like
Excellent.
even if you've got little pockets of CenturyLink or others, we still. What we found is we've had some project areas where an area might be excluded and they have another fiber option. They get really mad because they want Utopia because we have all the different choices and competition, and the other fiber providers are not as highly rated. Like we're the top rated broadband in the state. So we want to make sure everybody gets it. So
For neighborhoods, so we have a really like a jigsaw puzzle line for our city boundaries. And we have subdivisions that might have 30 plus houses in there, but only 2 or 3 of them are actually in the city. How do you address that?
So that's tricky. We'll probably end up doing a lot of coordination with Sean of like, what do you think's going on here? Like, do you think this neighborhood's going to annex in at some point or not? You know, contractually, we are obligated to build to the ones in the city limits. If it makes sense to bring in a pocket of them together, and some of them are outside of the city, sometimes we'll include some extras. Sometimes that becomes leverage that cities like to use to get those areas to annex in.
It's available, but you can't have it unless you annex in?
You tell us what you want us to do. I mean, I mean, that's, we've had a lot of that in West Point where they're just like, you know, we'll call up the city manager and just be like, what do you want us to do? And he's like, hold off, let me talk to these guys, see if we can't use this as a reason to get people to annex in. Because, you know, you're our partner, not the unincorporated county. You know, we're here, we work for you, even though we're, you know, somewhat an independent entity as Utopia, but we're governmental and you're one of our partners. And so we work for you, and we just ask you, you know, what do you want us to do in this situation?
Excellent, thank you. That's all I had, Mayor.
Okay, great. Anything else from the council? Okay,
Okay.
thank you so
All
much
right.
for that.
Only other comment I'd like to say is just we have enormous demand in the city. Like, I think it's going to go really, really well. All of our take rates since we entered into this agreement, all the adjacent cities and nearby areas, we've been like accelerating our customer growth. Like this last year was our best year we've ever had by a lot. Future projects, we've actually had to price up a little bit with that $30 infrastructure fee, but you guys got in right at the right time to where we're holding it to that $30. But it's good timing for you and great timing for demand and everything. So it's we're going to be very, very busy in the city hooking people up, and we're really excited and hope you guys are too. And I think it's going to be an awesome thing
Super
for the
excited.
city.
Yeah, it'll be great. We'd like those apartments to be part of the take rate, though, instead of just one.
Well,
No, it comes
they
in
are,
as
but
a
it
different
helps.
bundle, right? Like it's a bigger,
yeah, I mean, it depends, but we'll go in there and sell a single connection, but that single connection will be like $1,500 a month or $2,000. Like it's not like coming in with a $30 a month. We won't sell it to bulk that way. And that revenue still counts. It kind of offsets the needed take rates we need and revenues. And that's a question that comes up where it's like, well, how's it all trending? Well, it's too early, but it looks really, really good. So, you know, year and a half from now, you know, we probably come back and say, yeah, you know, we got the take rate, got the revenues, everything is great. At this point, it's super early, but we have every reason to believe that despite the delay, like if somebody's looking at the schedule of everything and we're like, hey, we're a little delayed, that's on us. And so don't worry about like the bond payment schedule and all that other stuff. It's our debt and our bonds, and there's a backstop from the city. But the timing of that, we're taking the initial delays on us. But we still see the demand is awesome. So we'll get it, and we might get it 6 months later than we hoped. But right now, everything is like green lights. Everything looks awesome.
Excellent. Well, we'll get that information over. If you have anything that comes up, changes or anything, get it over to Sean, and he'll get it to the council. But okay. Excellent. Well, thanks.
Great.
We appreciate
Thank you
it
very
very
much.
much.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the next item on here, item 8. It's a public hearing for the purpose of receiving public input on an ordinance regarding adherence to the Government Records Management Act and setting fees regarding fulfilling requests. Did we need any updates on this before we open our public hearing?
You know, if we do, I would ask that Amy provide those. She's been involved in drafting the ordinance.
I think that the staff report kind of really dealt with it. You know, we don't have an ordinance so that we can charge fees. Here it is. So
Okay. We'll go ahead and open it up for, if you want to give me a motion towards opening it up for public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? Okay, we'll move on to our public hearing, and if we have anyone that would like to come forward. Seeing none, we will get a request to have a motion to move out of public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we are out of our public hearing, back to our regular meeting. That'll move us to our item 8 or 9 on here, action on public hearing, action on ordinance 09-2024, an ordinance regarding adherence to the Government Records and Access Management Act and setting fees regarding fulfilling requests. Opening it up to the council for any questions.
So I have a few comments. And this is mainly coming from, I understand why this has been put forward, but I just want to bring up a concern. In my line of work, I apply for permits, and for example, I'm in Nevada right now applying for a sign permit. That took place about 9 months ago. I was denied. I appealed the decision and was directed where to send the appeal to. And 9 months later, I received absolutely no communications, repeated phone calls, emails, no response. And so I've sort of felt like I've been forced to ask for a public records request. And my concern with just charging, I guess, staff time is if this were my case, if this was my situation, the length of time that I'm requesting the public record for has increased because of the lack of response. And so I feel like just kind of having that open-ended, and when it could possibly be the government entity's fault for not responding, it kind of leaves the requester sort of paying this unknown amount, and an amount that could have been reduced if there was some quick response times. I'm not saying West Haven would do that, but it is a possibility that a future city employees or whatever created a situation where the requester is requesting something beyond what they needed to. I don't know if that makes sense or if I explained that well. And I'm not sure the best way to remedy that, but maybe it's here's our fees up to a certain point, and then we notice the person so they can decide if they want to pay those fees, if we have an idea how long it's going to take to gather the information they're requesting, because I feel like we're kind of discouraging them from getting what they need.
there is actually a part on the form that they have to fill out regarding that if it's possible that it hits a certain amount, whether or not, for them to be contacted. Emily, don't they have to fill out the amount as to what they are willing to
They're not required to, but they can do a top-out amount. So if you say, I only want to spend $25 on this record request, you can put that on there.
So, just want to put that out there. Are we discouraging? I think that's good that we have that. I think that would be important. But there again, I think there's probably some other way to handle it other than asking them for the amount. I don't know. I think we ought to be able to kind of contact them and tell them, hey, your request is going to approximately cost this range because of the time it's going to take to gather this, and do you want to pay that? Because I just hate for somebody to get surprised with that, and then just we're discouraging, this public transparency that we want.
Well, that is what the limit's for. So if you think that you're going to be going beyond the amount that they've listed on the actual form, then you call that person who made the request and let them know, hey, it's going to be more. Do you still want us to go down this path?
Okay.
Does that help?
I think so. I think that's important for them to know.
It seems like it's fair and reasonable, I think, to allow for that, because just to have the cost sitting out there and to get an estimate, possibly, it depends on how, what the depth of that request is, but also it takes a lot of time for the city staff to put these things together as well. I know that as long as sometimes when people request things, some of that information may not even be available. They may request something that, doesn't turn up. That's happened, I think, in the past, but I think that's an opportunity for the city to look at those things if they can't provide what's requested, that there may be, refunds or some things like that can happen. Is that part of any of it?
Yeah, we can't charge if we can't fulfill the request because the record doesn't exist, that sort of stuff. So like Emily and I were talking the other day, and what was the one that you had done? Like all sorts of research in the back and ended up not being able to find anything, but you were back there for hours. And
Yeah, it's one that I had a couple of years back, but it took me like 8 hours to do the research for it, just because I had to go through all of our agendas from 1991 until now, and I came up empty.
and so it didn't get charged.
Yeah, so those are things, though, that's a lot of staff time, but for sure, but I know that, those are just some things that can bounce up, but I think it's probably still a good policy to have for sure. Is there any other questions or concerns with this before we ask for a motion?
Well, before you move on, if you're worried about the time limits, Ryan, there is 10 days that we're required to fulfill the request and 3 to respond to say that we can do it.
Yeah, I guess my example is that the length of time that they didn't respond, it wasn't to the records request.
Okay.
It's the length of time that they didn't respond to my appeal, and so that created a bigger request on my part. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I had to find out what was going on behind the scenes for 9 months, why they weren't contacting me. Whereas if they had responded, then that records request would have been a lot smaller.
Okay.
And so let's say they're charging me in this instance. If they didn't respond for 3 months and I requested 3 months of records, that's a lot different than 9 months or a couple of weeks. And so I feel like in this case, they're the ones creating the greater expense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. We have time limits that are associated with our building permits as well. So I realize in that kind of scenario that it stacked up the time for you. But I think based
Yeah,
off
I'm
of-
sure that Nevada has time limits too, but they didn't follow them.
But like with this, you know, if that were the case and, you know, at least I know under grandma, you would be able to have some sort of action be able to be taken through the courts regarding that, you know, they're the one, the city's the one who caused it. And if it was some astronomical amount, you shouldn't have to pay. I mean, there are exceptions in grandma too regarding why you shouldn't have to pay. Like if you're the subject of the record, if it's public interest, there's some things in there too. But a lot of that stuff would be remedied by taking it to court and dealing with it that way.
Okay, any other questions, concerns?
No, I understand. I understand what you're talking about, where you're coming from, because, like, for instance, Emily, you're saying you didn't quite find the record that you wanted, so you didn't charge them. But what if you found something, but it wasn't exactly what they asked for? Are you still going to charge them for the time that you spent?
No, because I have to give them the exact record provide.
Okay. Because I think you could make some sort of cap, right? Because like you're talking about, it's the city's fault, maybe that they took so long to find the records. And in some cases that's, you know, if it was a ton of records or if it was just one, and maybe it's poor record keeping on part of the city that it takes them so long to find it. Is that your fault? Right, that you would be charged for all of that. Because they didn't keep great records, as I think we've discovered with contracts that were searched for that could be found. Or maybe they were, but they weren't quite the contract. So that's why I'm wondering exactly, and to his point, do you have a cap of per record? Like, is it, you know, a record being an email or a contract or whatever it is, and the amount of time that you can spend to do that?
But is it fair for all of the citizens to be having to pay for that record request by capping it instead of?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, and frankly, the city is still subsidizing it because you can only charge the
lowest employee.
Yeah, the lowest
Right.
paid employee. And so there is still, you know, that. And I mean, frankly, grandma is very requester friendly. I mean, it is very much, you know, it's sort of like this whole thing about the lowest paid employee and you not being able to charge, you know, more than that. And that's one of the reasons why I put in the ordinance that we would follow the processes and procedures outlined in grandma. So if there were exceptions as to being able to, you know, fulfill that request without charging, there is that, depending on what the circumstances are. But it's, you know, kind of, some of this is just, it is a policy thing as to how you want to proceed with it. But sometimes there's considerable amount of time regarding with the staff. Sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes it's, you know, we've had a couple of different requests, like somebody requested a geotech report, which is like not a big deal. We can pull that out and email it to them and there you go. But sometimes it's, you know, a significant amount of work that has to be done to try to track it down, and it has to be done within that 10 days. And you have to have a really good reason as to why to extend it longer than the 10 days. And you have to state to the, in writing to the requester why you're taking longer than 10 days. And you have to cite to the code as to why you're taking longer than 10 days. And you have to give a deadline as to when, so it can't be just an open-ended thing of, well.
Yeah, and just to be clear, my concern is not the time that it takes, because in my case, in my situation, they were very specific in telling me how long it would take to gather the information, which wasn't the issue. The issue was the time frame that caused me to request it in the first place. And so just trying to figure out, you know, where the burden lies in those cases. But it sounds like there's some recourse in the law if it's found that, you know, the city's the one that caused this in the first place, and they would be liable for those fees.
Well, it can, and, you know, frankly, taking that long, you know, that like 9 months to respond to something, usually there's, and I can't speak for Nevada, all I can do is speak for us, that there are deadlines and stuff that are built into our code and our processes and our procedures so that, you know, we're required to answer within certain periods of time. And if we don't, then there are consequences, you know, built in regarding that, so.
Can I just be pointed to the part of it where it talks about they would be notified if it's over the amount that,
It's in the document that they have to fill out.
okay,
Yeah, it's in that
It's not
form.
in this, it's in the document they fill out to get the records request.
okay.
Which is a pretty standardized form, isn't it? Don't they go to a certain, is it a state website that they go to?
We actually provide a form for ours, but they can use the Utah State Archives form, or they can even just email it in as long as it's written.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions or concerns? Ready for a motion?
I'll make a motion. We move to approve ordinance 09-2024, an ordinance regarding adherence to the Government Record and Access Management Act and setting fees regarding fulfilling requests.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this item from the council? Okay, we'll do a roll call on this one. Councilmember Morse,
Aye.
Councilmember Schwab,
Aye.
Councilmember Dixon,
Aye.
Councilmember Call,
Aye.
and Councilmember Saunders.
Aye.
Okay, motion is carried. Thank you. Appreciate that and the discussion about it. Take those into consideration and appreciate your comments. We'll move on to item 10, action on resolution 09-2024, LKL Road Reimbursement Agreement.
The LKL has asked to have this tabled because because of spring break, they were unable to have a representative here tonight and have it reset for the May 1st meeting.
Okay, so I'm ready for a motion to table.
Move to table.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carries to table. Move to item 11, action on resolution 11-2024, Utah League of Cities and Towns Legislative Policy Committee voting members. Did you want to take that one?
Yes, please. So this is a resolution that formalizes and gives a record to Utah League of Cities and Towns of who the voting members are from West Haven City. There are 3 that are allowed by the LPC. This is the Legislative Policy Committee's bylaws. And what's being proposed in this resolution would be Council Member Morse, and she is the liaison. I think that's one of her official assignments. And Mayor Vanderwood would be the other individual who would be an official voting member, and then myself would be another official voting member. Any member of the council is welcome to attend those meetings, and if there's some thought that you might want to participate voting, I would be happy to step back and let someone else be a voting member.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Are there any other questions on this or comments?
No, I just have one, Emily. It's noticed on the agenda as resolution 11-2024, but on the actual resolution, it's 9-2024, which LKL was the 924. Is that something we can just do here?
Yeah, you can just change it on the table when you do the motion.
Okay.
Was there a 10?
There was, but we had like a shift out that we pushed to the next meeting, so that's
Okay.
probably why.
Okay, if not, I'm ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 11-2024, Utah League of Cities and Towns Legislative Policy Committee voting members.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other further discussion on this? Okay, we'll do a roll call on that. Councilmember Dixon,
Aye.
Councilmember Morse,
Aye.
Councilmember Saunders,
Aye.
Councilmember Call,
Aye.
and Councilmember Schwab.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Move to item 12, action on resolution 12-2024, cable and facilities easement between West Haven City and Utah Infrastructure Agency.
Do you want me to deal with this, Sean?
Oh, yes, please.
As you've seen in the past, Utopia has requested these easements regarding like different utilities. This specific one has to do with Dominion Gas, has requested an easement for the additional area needed to avoid power lines. So,
Relatively simple. Are there any questions on this resolution at all?
oh, and Gardner Engineering did review it.
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 12-2024, cable and facilities easement between West Haven City and Utah Infrastructure Agency.
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this resolution? Do a roll call on this. Councilmember Call,
Aye.
Councilmember Saunders,
Aye.
Councilmember Schwab,
Aye.
Councilmember Dixon,
Aye.
and Councilmember Morse.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries on that one. Thank you. Item 13, presentation on quarterly city manager audit report.
Yeah, I would just say that according to the policy that the city manager is allowed to approve purchases between 10 and 50,000, and that quarterly those expenses would be taken and shown to you as a report, and included in this report are those expenses.
Okay, thank you. Are there any concerns or issues with any of the expenses spent? And would you like a refund?
Sean, I just had a question. What is the PEHP under community development? I wasn't able to figure that one out.
Oh, PHP, that's Public Employees Health Plan.
Oh, okay.
It's just
All
that
right.
they're the first, I think it was just coded that way because they show up first.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions, concerns?
On the PEHP, are those duplicate invoices shown here where they have the same date twice,
They're,
the same amount?
The amount doesn't change monthly, so I doubt it's a duplicate.
But it shows one payment on January 20th, another payment on February 20th, a third payment on January 20th, a fourth payment on February 20th. That's what
yeah.
looks like the
It's-
duplicate.
We were behind in the billing, so that's why they all came out in the same month.
Okay.
Okay. Good question. Anything else? Okay, that's just a presentation. No action to be taken on that. We'll move on to item 14, discussion, continuation of any agenda items that were not discussed or otherwise completed on the 5 o'clock work session. Do we have anything that we need to bring up on that? Okay, we'll just move on to item 15. Item 15 is for an executive session. The council will enter into a closed meeting for the purpose of a strategy session to discuss the character and professional competence of an individual to be held in accordance with the provisions of Utah Code 52-4-205. I need a motion to move into our executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll move into our executive session. Thank you, everyone, for being here, and we'll re-adjourn here after our executive session. Thank you.
We don't need them, yeah. We're good.
We're going in there.
Recording in progress.
Thank you very much. Okay, we are back from our executive session. The council did enter into a closed meeting for the purpose of a strategy session to discuss the character and professional competence of an individual to be held in accordance with the provisions of Utah Code 52-4-205. And we met those requirements, and we need a motion to move back into our general session.
So moved.
A
Second.
motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are back in our session. Kim, did I hear you okay?
She said aye.
Yes, you did.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move to item 16 for adjournment. I'm ready for a motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. No further discussion on that, I'm sure. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any,
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Happy spring.